What's the funniest thing that's happened to you during sex? This girl was going down on me for a bit, and after she gets tired she comes to give me a kiss. I whisper to her, now it's my turn, and she looks at me with the most confused look of disgust and says, what? You're gonna suck your own dick. It was a lovely summer evening and my parents were out shopping. After calculating the time I have left, I invited my girlfriend over. We were 16y.0 at that time. After we started having sex on the couch, my parents suddenly came back and my naked GF jumped out of the window, straight to the garden. I couldn't find a reasonable explanation for why am I naked. The window is open and plants which were on the windowsill are now on the floor. I've never been that embarrassed in my life. Turns out the headboard was exactly the right height to sit on for a BJ. Turns out the headboard wasn't strong enough to hold his weight. One time I thought I had closed the door, but my dog is smart AF and got it open, trotted up to the bed, and gave my boyfriend's foot a quick lick. He was so startled he yelled WTFY, and the dog, feeling guilty, came to where I was laying and tried to get forgiveness pets by shoving at my arm. I was wheezing from laughter. Either first or second time I had sex with my ex, we'd literally just finished, as in I hadn't even pulled out of her yet, and her mum walks in. We both freeze and I daren't look because her mum was a bit fierce, and all I hear is, oh, I thought you were just friends, and then the door close again. My ex bursts out laughing, and about 5 minutes later I hear her mum on the phone telling her sister. My chest and hers came together in exactly the right way to form a vacuum. When we changed position, there was this cartoon-like schmuck when we pulled apart. It killed the mood and we both broke down in fits of giggles. No joke, true story. I was seeing this really tiny girl about 13 years ago, shortly after my divorce. It was purely AD/S thing, as she really liked being spanked, told what to do and so on, and we always finished with rough sex. Anyway, she had lost her eye as an infant due to cancer in her tear duct, and she had a glass eye, not very obvious unless you looked closely. Anyway, after one of our sessions, I had her bent over the bed and I was going at her doggy style, and all of a sudden, I see something fly over the bed and roll across the blanket. Without losing a beat, I calmly asked her if that was what I think that is. She says yes, and I just keep going until I finish. Afterwards we laughed and cleaned up, and she says, well, now you can tell people you fucked some girl so hard you knocked her eye out. Good times. As I was going down on my wife, the cat decided it would be a good time to climb and sit on top of my head. I tried to ignore it, but when she looked down she started laughing so hard that it killed the mood for the rest of the night. Ripped a fart accidentally when I came on her tits. Her face went from pleasure to just a dead stare while holding her tits. We were doing the deed and the guy felt a fart coming. To his credit, he warned me and tried to cover the noise by singing in a high-pitched voice. For a solid 10 seconds he was farting machine gun style while yodeling loudly. Still not the worst sex I've had. I had gone over to this guy's house wearing my new Vans shoes. I was in high school, so these $50 shoes were my Sunday's best. We went upstairs and started going at it. He was behind me and I was facing the window to the backyard. Like 5 minutes in, I see his dog run into the backyard and tear one of my new shoes apart all over the grass. I thought it was so funny I couldn't even be upset. I miss that dog. I was with a girl who liked to wrestle a bit and be held down, except she was a dancer with incredibly powerful legs and I underestimated her, and she accidentally kicked me in the chest and broke one of my ribs. I was going down on my GF in high school. I was kneeling next to the bed with her legs hanging off the end. I was fully erect and my cat came from under the bed and licked the tip of my penis. Scared the shit out of me. If you have ever felt a cat's tounge, you'll know how horribly uncomfortable that felt on the tip of my member. Funny story. We decided that it would be a good idea to try something new, dating for nearly 2 years at this point, and went to have sex in the shower. Foreplay happened, the shower was on. To add to the disaster, I knocked my shampoo by accident, but we shrugged it off. Last thing I knew, he slipped on the shampoo and we both went down. He cracked his pelvis, nothing too dangerous, so he was fine after some months, and I had a cut on my lip because I bit it by accident when we fell. We're not dating anymore, but we're still friends, and we still laugh about it. We were 17, girlfriend's playlist was going in her car, we were in the trunk so we couldn't reach the phone playing the music. Sappy love song, alt rock song, and then Kermit the Frog. I have no idea what the song was because I was too busy having sex for like the third time ever, but she started laughing and I stopped and laughed for a second and she looked at it like she was going to change it, but I plowed right through, so we fucked to Kermit the Frog. It's a fun memory. Since we were teens and I was away at boarding school most of the time, whenever we saw each other all we did was have sex, so I don't have a lot of fun memories with her of just like hanging out, so it's nice that I have this one. My girlfriend was on top and her Fitbit starts going off. She looks at it and throws her hands up and says yes. I met my steps goal. I used to have a cat, named Voltaire. His nickname was Felis Interruptus. He would climb on my now ex-husband's back when he was on top. This is with my current so. A few months ago we were getting hot and heavy and his absolute best friend called in the middle of it. Without missing a beat my boo answered the call, still thrusting. His friend was inviting us both out to go eat brunch. Watching this man just smiling down at me trying his absolute best not to make it sound like he's having sex while still very much having it and talking about his favorite food made me laugh my ass off. Needless to say we never finished, but fuck, it made my day. Boyfriend was going down on me, he started doing a Cookie Monster impression while he was down there. Made me laugh so hard I let out a little fart right on his face. In middle of it we heard her little brother jokingly yell from the other side of the door, "Don't be fucking," then he ran in. Didn't have any time to hide, so I just stared at him, he yelled "oh fuck" and ran out of the room. Other thing that is more embarrassing than funny, but my GF's mother has the tendency to either not knock at all or knock on the door but no wait at all before rushing in. Most of the time we've managed to hide, of course she probably always knows what has been happening but at least she hasn't seen me fully naked a whole lot. But once my GF was sitting on top of me and her mom came in. GF managed to grab a blanket but she literally sitting on top of me _isn't obvious at all _edit, no, her door doesn't have a lock. One of the very first times I ever had sex, I looked out my window to see my neighbor having sex with his girlfriend. He noticed me and nodded "was up" mid-stroke. Later found out that the girl he was having sex with at that moment was my neighbor from the house that I had just moved away from like 6 months prior. My new neighbor was fucking my old neighbor and I saw them while having sex with my girlfriend. She passed out while on top of me right before I had to leave so I couldn't get up. And that was the first time I've ever used a sick day at work. A cop knocked on the window of the car we were in. He seemed more embarrassed than us. Turns out he'd been dating the girl I was with. Very awkward to say the least. I felt kinda shitty about that. Probably when I lost my virginity. Accidentally poked her in the butthole from behind and she turned around, stuck a finger in my face and sternly said no. I laughed and told her it was an accident and we proceeded from there. Also that one time my roommate carded my locked bedroom door during a party. I was balls deep in my FWB doggy style and another friend was standing next to him, slammed the door shut, and then I heard him scream my eyes through the wall. Can't remember if we finished or not. I remember she had like, the loudest queef ever and she was so embarrassed but I couldn't contain my laughter. Oh my god, I think I was crying of laughter. It wasn't the first time she had queefed during sex, but this time it was so loud, oh boy, I felt so bad afterwards. She became a bit self-conscious because I was her first ever sexual partner. So after the fact, I remember we sat down and talked about how it was natural and there was nothing wrong with it. I mean, she was my wife so I obviously was supportive, but I'll never forget that loud ass queef. An ex of mine curled and farted right in succession when we were nearly at the point of climax. She was absolutely mortified but I thought it was the funniest thing ever at the time and it honestly just made me feel more comfortable with her. It was, however, very sad how bad she felt about it. She legitimately thought I would never want to touch her again simply for having natural bodily emissions. Honestly, it never fails to depress when I hear the kinds of things that partners think will make me less attracted to them. Broke my wife's nose with my forehead. There's getting a cramp and then there's this. She was on her knees, face down on the bed and I ate her out. That fucking fart blast that just ripped right up my nose gave me a good scare.